So you're looking for a new gaming monitor, preferably under $200. Well, my friend, you're in the right place. In this video, we'll be talking about the best budget gaming monitor we could find. Without wasting time, let's dive right into our criteria. There are three types of panels: IPS, TN, and VA panels. Let's briefly touch on the pros and cons of each and every one of them. Then, based on the information gathered, we can decide which of the three is the best choice for us. Let's start with TN panels. TN panels are, generally speaking, cheaper than the others. They offer high refresh rates and very low response times, which make them excellent for gaming. What they don't do well is in color reproduction and bad viewing angles. This means when you view them from the sides, the image becomes incomprehensible. Personally, I'm not a big fan of TN panels, but for budget monitors, they're a good option, especially for gaming. One thing that I've noticed though is that TN panels are becoming less and less prevalent nowadays. It's like they're almost extinct, and even budget monitors now use either IPS or VA panels. Now let's talk about IPS panels. IPS panels are known for their excellent color reproduction, which is why they're most often used and preferred for photo editing, video editing, and various similar tasks. These panels also offer very good viewing angles, which means the image stays clear when viewed from the sides. You might be thinking, this doesn't really have to do much with gaming, right? But that's not entirely the case. IPS panels can also offer high refresh rates and low response times, but you used to have to pay extra for an IPS panel. Nowadays, IPS panels have become much more affordable, even with low response times and high refresh rates. It's clear that there is a trend to move to better panels, even for budget monitors. Lastly, let's talk about VA panels. This is the middle ground between IPS and TN panels. Color reproduction on VA panels are better than that of TN panels, but are generally inferior to that of IPS panels. The same can be said about viewing angles. VA is better than TN, but not as good as IPS. VA panels are usually cheaper than IPS, but are also more expensive than TN panels. VA panels can also offer high refresh rates but higher response times, which can lead to ghosting. This is also prevalent in some TV models which use VA panels. I prefer IPS panels personally. Can we find an IPS monitor that offers both high refresh rates and low response times? Yes, we can. And that monitor is the AOC Q27G4XN. Let's talk briefly about the size. This is a 27-inch monitor. Obviously, we want a large enough monitor to see everything on the screen clearly, but we don't want a monitor that's too large to the point where we have to turn our heads constantly to look at different parts of the screen. Many players who play esports titles like Counter-Strike 2 or Valorant actually only use smaller monitors, typically 24-inch. Personally, however, I don't use a monitor for just gaming. I also watch movies, YouTube videos, and I also use it for work, and that usually means we also need a slightly larger monitor. That means we have to find a compromise, and that compromise is a 27-inch monitor. It's large enough for all applications, but it's not too large. I think anything beyond that is too much. If, however, you'll tell me that 27 inches isn't enough because you need to have multiple windows open at the same time, then just get two monitors instead of a single large monitor. That way it's much more comfortable for you. The refresh rate is an important factor. The AOC has a refresh rate of 180 Hz, which is very high. 120 Hz is great for gaming, and anything above that is also great, but not really necessary. Some people might want to claim that the jump from 120 Hz to 240 Hz is huge, but for the average Joe, the differences aren't really that visible. We also need low response times, but a lot of monitors that use VA panels and not IPS panels advertise 1 millisecond response times or lesser. I doubt the validity of that because most of the time, these companies purposely deflate these numbers to be able to sell their products. In the AOC Q27G4XN, which uses an IPS panel, will offer lower response times. Now let's talk about the resolution. The AOC monitor has a QHD resolution, that means 2K, or a maximum screen resolution of 2560 by 1440. With a 27-inch size and a 2K resolution, I think it has a high enough pixel density to be sharp enough. However, this is a high resolution and you would need a powerful GPU to be able to game at that resolution. Let's say at the very minimum an RTX 3070 for a high FPS and at high graphics for a lot of games. If you buy this monitor, you'll likely need to upgrade to a stronger GPU. For future titles like GTA 6, I'm sure you need a better GPU. An RTX 4070 might be better for GTA 6 at that resolution. Now, to summarize it all, an IPS panel is the best choice for us. The AOC Q27G4XN has a 2K resolution and a very high refresh rate of 180 Hz. I recommend this monitor for most games, but if you plan to play the most demanding games at a high FPS and resolution, then you need to upgrade your GPU for future games. Currently, it costs $159.99, well below the $200 limit. Anyhow, here's the QR code for this monitor. You may scan it or you may click the link in the description box below. This has been Marty, and I'll be seeing you on the next video. Cheers!